name is Jack, and I want to tell you how I learned that the world isn't just empty spaces between streetlights, that there are pockets of silence where other things grow. It all started on December 22nd, in the hollowed-out year after my divorce. The house in Maryland wasn't a home. It was an archive of my mistakes, echoing with every footstep on the hardwood floor. The silence was the loudest thing I'd ever heard. Then a miracle. My ex-wife, out of pity or our son's relentless pleading, agreed to let him visit for Christmas. Tyler, a name on child support checks, a face in grainy photos. My son. I met the ghost of him at the airport at 3 a.m., a bleary-eyed boy swimming in a dark blue vest, his hair a messy halo under the fluorescent lights. When he hugged me, a real tight, minute-long hug, the decade of absence cracked open inside my chest. I wept right there at the arrival's curb. He smelled like airplane air and adolescent sweat. My home, which had felt like a tomb, suddenly had a pulse. He moved through it, a strange and wonderful foreigner. His room was just a spare room, but when he threw himself on the twin bed, grinning at the ceiling, it became his room. I gave him space, retreating to the living room where the History Channel droned on about sirens, beautiful voices that led men to their doom. It felt like a morbid joke. That's when the music from next door started. Not festive, but something low, rhythmic, almost ceremonial. It was the two teenagers, my reclusive neighbors. They'd moved in a year ago, a brother and sister who moved with a synchronized quiet that unnerved me. Their decorations weren't from any store. They were bone-white shapes painted with violent red streaks, looking less like reindeer and snowflakes and more like ancient sigils hung out to dry. The next day, shopping with Tyler was the closest thing to happiness I'd felt in years. We bickered over light colors, laughed as a tree shed needles in my car. When he shyly handed me the best dad card and that silver necklace, a circle embracing a cross, I felt a searing, painful hope. Maybe I could fix things. Maybe this was the new beginning. That hope curdled on the porch that evening. I called out a compliment on their decor to the neighbor teens. They stopped their work in unison, their heads turning with a slow, mechanical precision. They didn't look at me. Their gaze slid over my shoulder and locked onto Tyler, who was wrestling with a bag of tinsel. Their expressions were blank, not vacant but empty, like a doll's eyes before they're painted. A primal alarm bell, faint and deep, rang in the back of my skull. Tyler just waved, oblivious. The party invitation from the Brightsters seemed like a salvation, normalcy, community. I would let him go, prove I trusted him. As we stepped out into the crisp night at 9:45 p.m., the world felt almost right. Then the sounds from the dark gap between the houses, a frantic scrabbling of claws on ice, a sharp, confused whine, and then a wet final snap that was swallowed by a deep, gulping silence. I didn't see a monster. I saw a shifting column of shadow taller than a man but moving like a liquid retreating into the deeper dark. The smell that hit me was coppery and wrong like ozone and old meat. My body reacted before my mind could, shoving Tyler back inside. My voice a harsh command. Lock everything. Now. While he was upstairs, I watched the Brightster house. Lights, laughter, the silhouettes of people dancing. Normal life just yards away. It felt like watching TV through a store window. Tyler came down not with fear, but with the electric thrill of a secret. "Dad, you have to see this." His phone screen showed a nightmare in silent digital clarity. The two figures from next door weren't teenagers in that moment. Their limbs were too long, their spines too sinuous as they scaled the Brightster's fence not with effort but with an insectile grace. They'd go in empty-handed and return carrying slumped forms over their shoulders. Party guests, heads lolling, looking not dead but deeply, unnaturally asleep. This happened in a terrible cycle. Then on their last return they paused and looked up, directly into Tyler's lens. Their faces were pale ovals, but their mouths stretched into identical grotesque smiles that didn't touch the rest of their features. And their eyes, in the digital zoom, didn't flash red. They reflected like a cat's, but the light they caught seemed to come from nowhere on that dark lawn. That video became my obsession. It was proof, but proof of what? Creatures that pretended to be teens. Parasites hosting a Christmas party? I was trapped in a logic puzzle with no solution, only a growing icy certainty that we were being watched. That he was being watched. Christmas Eve dawned brittle and bright. I attacked the quiet with the noise of cooking, pulling out my mother's old recipe book. The page for lumberjack breakfast was stained with decades of love. I wanted to give that to him. When Tyler came down yawning and the house filled with the smells of sizzling bacon and his chatter about some video game, the terror of the night before felt like a bad dream. For 2 beautiful sun-drenched hours, I had my son back. We ate, we laughed. I believed in the sanctuary of the morning. The knock shattered it. Mrs. Brightster on my porch was a ghost of the cheerful hostess. Her face was crumpled, her eyes raw. She thrust a CD at me, her voice a papery whisper. I found this in my mailbox. It's for you. I'm so sorry, Jack. A joke. It had to be. Nice try, I chuckled, the sound hollow in my throat. Tyler's right inside, finishing his eggs. I turned, a smile on my face, to point to my living, breathing proof. The table was set for 2. 2 full plates of food, steam still rising gently from untouched pancakes. 2 glasses of untouched juice. The TV was a dark, silent slab. The couch cushions were smooth and dentless. The only sound was the frantic ticking of the kitchen clock. The world didn't spin, it cracked. The smile melted from my face like wax. I snatched the CD. My thanks was a guttural sound. I slammed the door and ran, not walked, through my own house. Tyler. The silence was absolute. It was a physical presence, thick and swallowing. His name echoed back at me from the walls. I took the stairs 3 at a time, a prayer pounding in my ears with every heartbeat. Please be playing a game. Please be hiding, please. His door was slightly ajar. The room was dim, the curtains drawn. He was in bed, the comforter pulled up, a pillow over his head like he used to do as a little kid to block out the light. Son, this isn't funny anymore. My voice trembled. I reached for the pillow. It wasn't resistance I felt, but a profound, terrible lightness. I pulled it away. He lay there on his back. His eyes were closed. He could have been sleeping, but for the absolute statuesque stillness. The healthy glow from breakfast was gone, replaced by a pale, waxy calm. There was no violence, no gore, just a profound and utter absence. The boy from the kitchen was gone, and this was a perfect, empty replica. A small, square piece of paper neatly folded lay upon his sternum. My fingers were numb blocks of ice as I picked it up, unfolded it. The handwriting was neat, cursive, and utterly alien. We thanked him for the invitation. A soft thud came from beneath the bed. My breath hitched. I knelt, the floorboards cold against my knees, and peered into the dark space. There it was. The gift box from the store, but transformed. It was now wrapped in that same bone-white paper from next door, adorned only with a single stark red ribbon, tied in an elaborate knotted bow. It looked like a gift from another world. I pulled it out. The paper tore with a sound like dry leaves. Inside, nestled not on tissue but on a bed of pine needles and what looked like frost, were two items. The silver Best Dad necklace. The circle was warped, pinched shut as if by immense cold pressure. The cross inside was bent at a cruel angle. Tyler's phone. The screen was a spider web of cracks, but it was on. It was paused on a single frame of his video. The extreme close-up of one of the creature's faces, its impossibly wide smile frozen, its reflective eyes seeming to look straight out of the screen. And then the phone screen went black. A second later, it lit up again, not with the video, but as a camera in selfie mode. It showed the ceiling of Tyler's room. My own ragged breathing was the only sound. Then a new noise filtered through the phone speaker. It was the sound of music, the same low rhythmic ceremonial music from my neighbor's house. It was faint, but growing clearer, as if the source was moving closer. Not from outside, from downstairs in my own house. The screen went dark for good. The music from the phone stopped. And from directly below me in my own living room, I heard the distinct, polite, and utterly chilling sound of my front door opening.